Welcome to another episode of Behind the Strategy, a place for conversations, a place to find out and reveal all. What is behind your strategy? And in this episode, I'd like to talk about how the forms you use in your business could be losing you money. Yes, you heard me correctly. The forms that you use to find out more information about somebody prior to working with you or to plan and prepare for working with you could be losing you money. Have you considered that those forms may be creating a real negative impact within somebody? They could be causing anxiety. Because many of us, ADHD or not, many of us struggle to complete a form. There are many reasons why people might not like filling in forms. And most of the time, when you really want something, you really need something, or you actually have to complete the form to get access to something, you'll find a way to fill that form in. However, there are also those times where actually, when you're faced with filling it in, you start weighing it up against what the consequences of not doing it are, and sometimes that can look like the easiest option. So you don't fill the form in, and that's just it, the end. Which for you, as a business owner or an entrepreneur, that will be losing you money. Now, admittedly, if somebody can't fill a form, then they can't work with you. That is not your responsibility. That's just part of being an online business owner, or any business owner for that matter. If somebody doesn't want to take the next steps to working with you, then is that just their loss? Because that is certainly one way of looking at it. Let me tell you about two forms that I've recently had to fill in. Well, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert because I didn't fill them in. And this is why. And I know I'm not the only person with an ADHD brain who has experienced this too. Both forms were connected to services that I wanted to buy from other small business owners. Now, maybe you're like me with your ADHD brain and you are quite happy to take risks. And also, you are fairly impulsive in some of the things that you purchase. Because quite often we are in the here and now, and if we see something that is going to solve our problem, that's going to fix what we need, if we see somebody out there constantly posting about something which for us would be a solution to what we need right now, we are that person who will buy from you. Even if we don't know you, even if we've never really engaged very much on your content, we are quite often those lurkers. And because of that, yes, we are more susceptible and more vulnerable to buying something online from somebody that could turn out to be absolutely useless. And we quite often do this more than once. In fact, how many of you have courses that you've not completed or freebies you've not looked at properly? I'm sure I'm not the only one, ADHD or not. We pretty much all do that online, don't we? But for those of us with ADHD brains, we know and recognise when we can't solve something right now, and we are willing to just pay for it so that we can get it done, because we know otherwise quite often what happens is that it won't, and then we'll be in exactly the same situation 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. So for many of us with ADHD brains who are in business, we have moved on past the trying to do everything ourselves, and we will pay for services and outsource. In fact, we will jump at something that we see that really resonates with us and that makes us feel very, very positive. And this is exactly what happened to me the other week. I kept seeing somebody posting and I really loved the way that they were writing. I really liked the things they were talking about, and I saw how they were describing the services, and it started to sort of enter into my world, and I researched more, looked into it more, and decided, actually, I want to find out more about this particular person because I quite like the style. And the person was offering one of those power sessions to have a chat, give some specific advice about what was needed right there and then for you, and then perhaps talk about something going forward for a longer maintenance package or for some other work that you might want doing. And I looked through the description of the services and thought this would be perfect for me right now. So I looked to see how I could book this session. And the only option was to complete a very long
form. There were, to me, a lot of questions, and quite a few of them were a bit irrelevant to just booking this one-off session. They were more related to if you were trying to book the person to have an ongoing relationship with them going forward and having a maintenance package with them on a monthly basis. So right now, a lot of the questions just didn't make sense. And there weren't just a few questions. There seemed to be quite a lot, which needed quite long and lengthy answers. And quite frankly, my heart sank into my boots. But as I said, when you really want something, you quite often find a way around things. And I just did not want to fill the form in, so I messaged the person and said, "Hi, I'd really like to book the session, but the form is just putting me off. Is there any other way that I can just book the session with you? I know what I want to talk about. I can tell you what that is. I can tell you what sort of advice I'd like from you. How can we book it? Is that possible? Can we make it happen?" I wanted to give that person my money. Now, whilst I could have understood if the person had said to me, "No, this is the only way you can work with me," I would have just said, "No, that's fine and thank you very much." Because what I was hoping for was that the person would have just sent me a way to pay and a way to book the time and through a calendar appointment. So whether they invoice me by me sending over the details, that's what I was hoping for. Now, the response to my message that I sent over was that, yes, it's fine, I don't have to fill the form in, we can book it a different way. However, unfortunately, the person didn't have a calendar link, and because they were used to people filling in the form, they didn't have any other systems behind the scenes for people who didn't want to fill the forms in. So, as much as I wanted to work with that person, it hasn't worked out because everything just proved too difficult and I haven't been able to book any sessions or to pay anything to be able to actually have a session working with that person. Which is a shame because it could have solved a situation for me at that time. But now too much time has passed and I've moved on to something else. It's proving too difficult to sort out. So my brain's switched off from it. It's moved on and I'm going on to the next thing. I'm not looking for another way to solve that original problem. That's actually now been parked. And I'm not dealing with it at all. In fact, it's going to be one of those, I'll probably get back to it in 3, 4, 5, 6 months and think, oh yes, I meant to solve that. And the odds are I probably won't go back to that same first person because even if they did improve their systems, I'm now feeling anxious and a bit guilty because I haven't then kept pursuing it to try and force the person to work with me or to sort something out. And I now feel as if, oh, well, I've ghosted them. And so it's left that sort of awkwardness that I don't want to tackle and think about. And I know I'm not the only person that experiences this. It's really, really challenging to get past that issue that we don't want to have to think about because there aren't any consequences for me right now if I don't go back to that person and then try again. Because how many times could I try? Now, it could be said that they perhaps should have made it a bit easier for me to book with them because all I wanted to do at the end of the day was give them some money and that hasn't happened. So they're the ones that haven't made the sale and have lost a potential customer for ongoing future projects. And this is a great shame because I'm sure it's happened to many people. Lovely people, people out there who people really want to work with, people like myself who want to work with people offering services. Gosh, there's a lot of peopling going on. And maybe you've experienced this too, either as the service provider or the customer. I'm sure I'm not the only one. And part of me wonders if that's because a lot of people do have ADHD brains. And quite often we don't always see these issues. And when we are faced with these issues, we don't always know how to resolve them straight away. And then if this has happened to you as a service provider, maybe it's something you've thought, I must address this. And then you get back round to it in 3, 4, 5, 6 months' time. And you think, I meant to deal with that all those months ago. And thankfully, the second form that I had to fill in recently had a positive outcome because I'm going on a business retreat and the form is from the photographer because a few of us have clubbed together and we are getting a photographer to do a photo shoot. Now, this is quite anxiety-ridden anyway. I'm already full of all sorts of emotional feelings about having a photo shoot and having to decide clothes. Too many decisions. But I'm not in it on my own. I'm doing it with a group of other people. And so I decided to take it upon myself to say in the group, we've got this form. I can't fill it in. I just can't fill it in. And then I added that I was feeling very vulnerable about talking about the fact that I can't fill in a simple form. And I'm feeling very anxious about it. And in fact, it's made me not want to do the photo shoot. But I do know that's not the answer, and I just now don't know what to do. This was a big test. There are many if you're in a business mastermind, because we are vulnerable. We are talking about some very deep feelings. And if I hadn't have been able to express myself like this and get a positive, helpful response, then I would have been, again, wasting my money. But I knew I wasn't. I've been with this wonderful group for about 3 months now, and we've all got to know each other very well. We've shared a lot about the business growths, and we're going to do some very deep work in the business retreat. Now, the reason I'm mentioning that part of it is because this is one side of being an entrepreneur, being an online business owner. It's about being on our own, and we don't have to be. And I would always recommend joining a business group, meeting people that you can really get to know, trust and like over a long period of time, not just for a few months or for 6 weeks in programs. Be in a place where you can stay there and really get to know people and build relationships. Because then, when you're faced with a problem as simple as filling in a simple form, that made me not want to do the photo shoot. And then I thought, I don't want to go on this business retreat now, which is totally untrue. I want to do both. But the fear of the form, many years ago, I just wouldn't have done anything. I would have cancelled and not gone. But that is not me now. I'm moving forward. I am growing, as are many people now in business online with ADHD brains. We are stepping up and we're taking responsibility. And it's difficult. It's challenging. It's raw. It's emotional. And thankfully, the response that came back was, you don't have to fill in the form. That's fine. You can just have a chat with the photographer and sort things out then. No faff, no fuss. I felt valued, I felt respected, and I felt in a safe place. I'm going to have my problem solved, my solution fixed, which is the fact that I need the photo shoot for business, and the photographer is going to get paid because I'm going to pay them for the services because there isn't going to be any problems with forms. Yeah. So here are the key points, because I've been talking about how forms, simple forms, could be losing you money. But at the same time, if you're somebody who has to fill in a form and it's bringing you dread and anxiety, all those feelings that you really don't want to have to deal with when you're just trying to get on in business, here are some things to consider. Number 1, ask that person if there's any other way that you can engage them for their services without having to fill in a lengthy form. I did that on both occasions and was told yes, I could. And I'm sure there are many other people who totally understand how difficult form filling can be. And if they can't accommodate, then leave it there, because it's quite likely that what will follow will mean that perhaps there isn't going to be the good connection and the good relationship that you can have if you're going to be working with someone. And there are so many amazing, wonderful small business owners and entrepreneurs out there that if you're in the right group and you're connected to the right people and you're not just trying to struggle through on your own, ask for help. I will admit, deep in my heart, I still think that if I ask for help, it means I'm weak, I can't cope, and I'm not good enough. And my brain tells me that that's absolutely not true. And then my heart tells me, yes, but you know all the issues that you've had and the challenges that you've had. And then my head tells me, yes, but that's not true. And I end up in that little loop. So if you find yourself in that loop, just stop. Just ask for help. Ask for somebody to help you fill in the form or recommend somebody else to you if you want to work with them. But whatever you do, please don't leave any more money on the table. And please share this message with anyone that you know would benefit from listening to this today. Speak soon.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Behind the Strategy. I hope you enjoy listening to the next one. Please subscribe so you get notified of when that's published. And if you'd like to find out more, please pop over to thestrategysuccesslab.com. And please do share this with anyone who you think might need this today.